What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA Show. And today we are back and we are talking about some big stuff in the UFC going down tomorrow in Saudi Arabia. And we've got the first ever UFC card in Riyadh. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, this, of course, was meant to feature the headliner of Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. And since that time, Khamzat Chimaev has fallen violently ill. And we have more details on what has happened and what has transpired there. So we're going to talk about that at the end of the show and what's next for Khamzat. But we got a replacement fight. Somebody that, neither of us really know too much about. He's only had a handful of fights in the UFC. Ikram Aliskerov. But anyways, that's where we're at. Before we jump in, Justin, give us an update. Where are you at in the world and what are you up to for the weekend?
Man, dude, I'm over here in Madrid, Spain right now, man. These guys are going crazy. I hear a soccer game going out there. There's like 50 Spaniards out there going fucking nuts, speaking Espanol. Man, I look tired. I am tired. I've been awake for a long, long time. I can't sleep just yet. I'm here. Me and my son are here for a wrestling tournament, a freestyle wrestling tournament. Did some training today. Got a little bit of training tomorrow. I'm gonna go out in the nightlife, and hopefully I don't get too hungover, man. But no, why don't you tell us where you're at, bro? You're in Montana. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm in Montana. This is so cool. So I'm here for Fusion Fight League, and I'm going to be doing my first ever commentating gig for these 10 fights that are going down tomorrow. So I'm really excited. I was just in the lobby, and I met some of the fighters, or one of the fighters, and we were chatting. It was really, really cool. It's going to be a second fight ever. And yeah, I'm even going to try and train out here. There's a gym that the fighter pointed me to. I think it's called SBG. So I'm going to see if I can set up a private for tomorrow and just do some training. But it's beautiful out here. I didn't realize how nice it is. Yeah, it's really, really pretty.
So fucking awesome. And it's a college town, bro. Like, seriously, go out tonight, experience the nightlife. It's fucking awesome. Seriously.
Yeah, I'm very excited. A good steak dinner, all that stuff. But anyways, the real deal, the real treat is going to be tomorrow when I get to commentate. So, yeah, I'll post the link in the description below if you guys do want to check out this Fusion Fight League fights, and we can go from there. All right, let's get into the mix because we got a lot to talk about. A lot of crazy stuff is going down. So first, we're going to talk about this fight tomorrow. Robert Whittaker versus Ikram Aliskerov. Now, I know, Justin, you and me talked offline, and you said you're not super familiar with the fighter. Neither am I. Neither are most people. But he is a beast of a fighter. He is from Dagestan, so we know their reputation. What I thought we could do is I was just going to queue up one of his fights here, and we can check it out. By the way, I think he's got, except for when he lost, he's got like a really high finish rate. Also amazing grappling, but really good striking. So I want to start here, and we can just take a look. Celine says, hey, good evening today. What's up, Celine? Welcome back. And Pern back again. He said, yeah, the Spanish are nuts about soccer.
Dude, they're going crazy. I have to shut the door so you guys can't hear them.
Yeah, no, I bet. Okay, here we go. We're going to get into this fight. So we'll just get your thoughts, Justin, as we watch this here. Let's check it out.
And we shall see how it plays.
By the way, Ikram is in the gray trunks right here.
Got it.
Out from here. A lot of steam on Aliskerov as he welcomes Warley Alves up to the middleweight division. Universal Pictures, Five Nights at Freddy's in theaters this Friday.
And just so you guys know, you can see this is only at 3 minutes and 55 seconds. So I'm pretty sure Ikram gets a first round knockout, but let's keep watching.
I always look at how.
You know what? I'm going to mute the commentary so we can just kind of commentate ourselves and watch a little bit. You do notice there's a little.
Get some practice.
Yeah, exactly. But you do notice there's a little bit of a speed differential. I'm noticing the guy in the yellow trunks is throwing a little bit faster, but let's see. I'm curious to see what Ikram does next. Ooh, look at that inside leg kick.
Great kick.
Ooh, hit him again. Ooh, he got him good there.
I've seen a lot. So he has that good teep kick. He's kind of leaning back with it, and then he's looking for a big, long, stiff jab here. There's that great jab again.
He keeps tagging him with that left jab. Yeah, again. Interesting. Very interesting.
Now, I mean, obviously he's using that jab's not a knockout punch. I think he's finding his range by using that jab here. I think he's setting up his cross.
There you go. He just threw it. Boom. You were right.
I mean, because he's stepping in with that really long jab, getting the guy almost. See that how he jabbed and backed off. Now watch, he's going to jab, stand still, throw the cross. Bang, big cross. When he plants his feet, the power's coming.
That teep was pretty sweet, too. He threw a fast teep out there.
Boom, boom.
Fast and powerful one.
There he goes back to that long jab again. Again, I think this is his rangefinder. Actually, I don't think. I know it's his rangefinder. Obviously, the jab's a rangefinder. But I think he's jabbing in and getting out, jabbing in, getting out. And then he's going to jab in, plant his feet, and that cross is going to knock him out. I've never seen this fight, but if I had to guess how it's going to go, that's how I feel it gets ended right here.
And it's all it almost looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost looks like he tried to throw that hard cross, but it looks like he's getting
Ooh.
Hold on. He dropped him with the jab, but he's warming up. I feel like he's building his confidence. Oh, nice. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Dang. Smells blood, and that's it. Well, I was wrong, but yeah, you know, I mean, let's talk about this guy for a hot second. This guy has an incredible jab. He has incredible range on his jab, and when he smells blood, he comes. With that being said, I don't want to take anything away from him, but his opponent, I've never heard of. I've heard of him, but I've never heard of his opponent. He's taking on a tall task of Robert Whittaker. All right. And I, like you, I watched the weigh-ins today. Robert looked fucking phenomenal. He looked like a bodybuilder. He had perfect abs. He had no fat on his belly. He looks ready to go. And this guy's stepping up short notice. I just don't see how he's going to get it done against an outstanding fighter like Robert Whittaker.
I know, right? Like you just kind of have to be a fool to kind of to pick Ikram to beat such a vet on the short, given short notice. Actually, though, Ikram, by the way, was training. He was supposed to fight last weekend. I don't know if you knew that. So they just basically moved his fight date up. Yeah, so he was already in camp. But again, it's just such a differential in experience level and ranking. So I don't know, but man, he looked good. And that was pure striking. He's Dagestani. Not that every person from Dagestan is an amazing grappler, but he has a Sambo background. I'm sure his grappling and wrestling is next level. So we haven't even seen that part of his game, but I liked what I saw. Yeah.
I got to go to Robert Whittaker again. Like, this guy's great and he's stepping up short notice, but let's talk about what's on the line here. This guy gets to risk it all with absolutely nothing to lose. He can go out there and get knocked down in 5 seconds and nobody's going to bat an eye. Robert Whittaker is risking his whole career. Like, this guy's a fucking dog. If he loses this guy, he's going to lose. I mean, the guy's unranked. Like, what's Robert, third? If he loses to an unranked guy, like, where does that drop him in the top, like, 12? Like, maybe not that far, but he's going to drop significantly and he's not going to get a title shot. Robert Whittaker is a fucking dog, and he's that old school gangster that he doesn't give a fuck. He could have said, you know what? This is the fight that was supposed to happen. I trained for this fight. That fight's not happening. I showed up. I made weight. I want my money, and I'm not taking any replacement fight. But he doesn't care. I mean, how many guys do they need to match up with this guy? I mean, at least, is this the third guy?
Well, but let me ask you a question though. By the way, to that point, and Robert Whittaker is a gangster for taking the fight, and a lot of people are giving him praise for doing it because it's a massive risk. But in this case, let's say he was making $350,000 flat just to show up. I don't know what he was getting paid. Maybe he was probably getting paid even more. I wouldn't be surprised. Former champ. But let's say he was making $500,000 just to show up. What do you think is the bump to then agree to take on a fight short notice? What is that usually range? Would you say?
Unfortunately, I can't give out that information, not because I know. No, I just don't know. Every manager is different. It's all about manager negotiation. There's a lot of guys that will take the same amount. I don't agree with that, but I'm sure there's a bump. Like, hey, dude, this is the third guy we've tried to get to fight. Like, but it doesn't. I mean, Robert Whittaker has money. Robert Whittaker's a gangster, man. Like, I don't like the risk reward here because, dude, like, when you're getting ready for a fight in the UFC and fighting is your job. Like, Robert Whittaker doesn't work at a gas station. Robert Whittaker doesn't do personal training, probably. Fighting is his job. So when his opponents fall through, his paychecks fall through. I don't see a guy of his stature with everything he's done that if he said, hey, look, I'm not going to fight any replacement. This is the guy that I was supposed to fight, and that's the only guy I'll fight. I don't see the UFC like, go fuck yourself. We're not going to pay you $1. I'm sure they're going to pay him something, but I'm sure he did get a boost for taking these fights. But regardless, I mean, no, it's no offense, Hoots. Like, I know you're a newer fan in the last couple of years, and not last couple of years. We'll say last 10 years. But man, guys like this just aren't like. There's not many guys like this anymore. Everyone wants to pick and choose their opponent. Want to pick and choose their matchup. Bro, this guy has had 3 different opponents, and they're all different fighters, bro. They all have different styles. Nobody does that anymore, and we need to give Robert Whittaker the true props of commending of what he's doing, because 90% of the guys on the roster, I mean, dude, the guy's risking his whole career. This isn't Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. Oh, Justin's still one fight away from the belt, losing to Max. He's 5 fights away, 3 fights away from even being talked about if he loses this fight. Robert Whittaker might be the most gangster guy, and everyone needs to realize that, and everyone needs to know that, because risk reward, that balance is way out of whack in this fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a reason that people should get, look, people like me who are so amped to see Khamzat Chimaev fight, it's such a disappointment. But if you take it from, there's two different ways to look at this fight. Number one, just putting some appreciation on Robert Whittaker's name, the fact that he is going out and stepping up to this incredible challenge. So I think that should make a lot of people want to watch and want to check this out. And this is going to be free, by the way. I believe it's on ABC, so make sure to check it out. But then you look at the other side, this guy, Ikram, granted, it wasn't the toughest competition, perhaps, in that fight that we just watched, but he looks dangerous. And I think this is going to be a pretty interesting fight. So I'm very excited, and let's see what happens. By the way, we have a comment in here, bro. I swear you're a SAT tutor. You look like the same dude. LMAO. Yes, that is me. So welcome. welcome to the 10-7 show. Not talking about SAT math here. All right. And Pern also chimes in, says it's a huge risk. He is a beast, but a really dangerous fight. And
very
that
dangerous
is absolutely
fight.
true. Absolutely.
The guy can fight. And even if the guy can't fight, he can still throw heavy shots, and it only takes one at that division, man. And dude, even if this guy was a fucking losing fighter, like just taking, man, one risk, those MMA gloves, they're 3 ounces, I mean, they've at least the gloves that I just fought with, the new Tough Enough gloves, they were 3.2 ounces. So I imagine they're the same as the UFC's new ones as well, man. One shot, his career's over. One punch, he could win. I mean, look at Derek Lewis when he fought Volkov, a couple years back.
Just thinking about that, yeah.
5 seconds left in the fight, he lost every round, and boom, sleep.
Yeah.
Like, this could happen. Robert Whittaker knows this could happen, but he's such a fucking gangster. He knows it's not going to happen, or he assumes it's not going to happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see what happens. I cannot wait for the fight. Speaking of Volkov, let's go to the next topic. Sergei Pavlovich versus Volkov. So this is a wild fight that I think it's barely been talked about from everything that I've been watching the last couple of weeks, which is kind of crazy considering how Sergei Pavlovich, prior to losing to Tom Aspinall, was just talked about everywhere as this new sort of like just juggernaut coming for everybody, knocking everybody out. Did suffer that loss to Tom Aspinall. People were really going back and forth who was going to win that fight. It was a great fight, quick fight. Now he's up against Volkov, as you mentioned, who's a killer and had that amazing fight against Derek Lewis, lost at the very end, but was dominating throughout the entire fight. What are your first thoughts about this fight? Oh, by the way, let me pull up Sergei Pavlovich's record. You can see the time of all his knockouts in the first round. It's so crazy. But yeah, what are your initial thoughts for this matchup and the outcome?
Like I said, I watched the weigh-ins. This guy is fucking huge. This guy is a monster of a man. Like, he reminded me like a Russian Brock Lesnar. Just big barrel chest, big barrel arms, like just a fucking powerhouse. Volkov is a great striker, and he has great range, but can he deal with the power and explosiveness of Pavlovich? I just don't see it happening. I think, taking that loss to Tom Aspinall, really, made him humble and realize like, hey, look, I'm not, I can lose on any given day. And this guy has amped up his training because, I mean, I've seen a side-by-side of, I don't know what the date was, but they set a date on it and then his weigh-ins. And the guy looks like just a new man. And a lot of times when guys take a loss, they come back stronger, man. And to me, it looks like Pavlovich did just that.
It's that weird formula, that weird balance. It's like you want the right amount of losses or struggle or whatever it may be, I guess, to fully fine-tune
struggle is the
somebody.
word. I like to use that word. Struggle is the exact word.
Yeah, I mean, hey, man, it's the same thing in every industry, in my business too. So I totally get it. All right, so let's just look at Sergei's record. This is the most terrifying record of all time. Okay, fine. Let's start right here. And this is back in 2017, round 1, 245. Okay, he lost, fine. But round 1, 106, 1, 2. I mean, what is this? This doesn't even make sense. And then round 1, he lost to Tom Aspinall. But I guarantee you, had he not lost, it was going to go one way or the other in the first round. Sure. It was. I mean, this is bananas. So we have somebody, and then
take the under.
Oh yeah, is that what you're going to do?
Well, I mean, they're all first round finishes, whether he wins or loses. Man, take the fucking under. If you have a 2.5 round, is this gonna be 3 round or 5 round? I think it's 3.
I believe it's 3. I'm double checking right now.
Man, you know what? I can find a line at like 1.5 rounds. I think there's gonna be some value there, especially Volkov's tough. I mean, Derek Lewis knocked him out, but I mean, you might get like a minus 130 line, and that's worth putting some cash on. At least maybe in a parlay.
Now, we just taken a look at Volkov's recent record. So Rosenstruck, that's a tough fight. Ooh, first round knockout. See, I didn't even remember that one. Alexander Romanov, another first round knockout. Damn, these guys are hot. Like they're ready to rumble. This is going to be crazy. He's won
Take that
3
under.
in a row. They both lost to Tom Aspinall recently. First round losses to both, both won 2022 and obviously Sergei's much more recently for the interim title. But man, oh man, I don't even know. I don't even know how this is going to unfold. I mean, I'm probably going to go with Sergei if you put a gun in my head, but I think this is going to be a super, super wild fight. How excited are you about this fight, scale of 1 to 10? Is this something that's been on your radar, or are you now just thinking about it as it's getting closer?
To me, this is the sleeper fight of the card because nobody's really talking about this fight. But we just went over the records: first round finish, first round finish, first round finish, and not submissions, not rear naked chokes, not guillotines. Guys putting hands on other men and knocking them unconscious. This is the sleeper fight of the night that nobody's talking about, and this fight deserves a lot more respect than it's getting.
Yeah, this is gonna be a wild one. So very, very interesting. I cannot wait. If you had to pick, if you had to take a
I'm
guess
going
right now,
Pavlovich, man. After seeing his
yeah.
weigh-ins, dude, the guy reminds me of Brock Lesnar. When I saw him weighing in and flexing, I don't know, for whatever reason, Brock Lesnar jumped in my head. I'm like, this guy looks like a mountain of a man.
All right, so cool. Cannot wait for this. Okay, moving along to poor UFC 303, the most cursed card of all time. It feels like we've had so many pullouts and changes and, unfortunate things that have happened. Obviously, you can't really go bigger than imagining a Conor McGregor fight and a return after all this time and then to that going away. So that's been a massive disappointment, and they've had to make a huge shift, a huge adjustment to kind of save that card. And who knows, so many people are probably still going to be asking for refunds. Well, that's a whole other issue, right? But now we have another fight that was I can't, was it the co-main? I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was. It was Carlos Ulberg and Anthony Smith took. There's already a replacement, right? Your boy from
Jamal
Detroit.
Hill.
Oh my God, Jamal Hill. Yeah, Jamal Hill. He had an injury, had to go out. Anthony Smith came in. Then Carlos Ulberg. I don't think the injury's been announced yet, but he just announced today that he's out. And I think I texted you who the replacement fighter was. Hold on, who was it again? It is Roman Dolidze. Roman
Yeah,
Dolidze
Roman
is coming in.
trains to change the Extreme Couture, man. He's a freaking stud.
So what do you think? I mean, I know Anthony Smith is trained at Extreme Couture. I believe he has. I think he's mentioned it before. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if you've trained with them
he has
specifically.
intermittently when he's in town. He'll come to the gym, but it's not like his home base or anything. Now, Roman, on the other hand, I like Roman. I think he's a great fighter. Guys, he's put together a lot of decisions. And, it's hard for me, as a fan. Now, as a teammate, again, I know it sounds like I'm talking shit. I'm not talking shit. He's an awesome fighter. He'd whoop my ass. I'm not trying to say that. I just, he goes to decision a lot. And I think in a situation like this, being short notice to go to decision, you got to be in shape. And
Mm,
this is a short notice fight. I don't know if Roman. I mean, I see him in the gym, but again, there's that getting ready for a fight intensity, and there's I'm just trying to stay in shape. Does Roman have the endurance to go 3 rounds, or is it 5 round
very.
co-main 3 rounds? Yeah.
Ooh, good question. Hold on. Wait. Let me check that out. I don't know. Hold on. Anthony Smith versus Roman Dolidze. Okay, I'm going to check that out right now. All right, so that's a really good point, a really interesting point. If Anthony Smith does come out victorious in this event, he's been sort of on the rise. He had a recent fight that he just went in. I think it was short notice. I can't remember. Not no, it was up and comer, but he won. He came out victorious, and now if he gets another win, 2 fights in a row. Where do you see Anthony Smith going next in the light heavyweight division if he does pull off this victory?
I think he's a top 5 opponent. If he gets 2 wins in a row, give him a top 5 opponent. He wins that. He beats the top 5, top 3 opponent. I mean, we can throw him right into title contention, or at least in the talk about title contention. I mean, winning 3 fights in that division, it's not. I mean, it's a fucking heavy task, man. That's a tough task to win fights in any division. Anthony Smith is towards the end of his career. He pulls off this. I think he deserves a shot, man. He's saving. He's stepping up, and the guy's always stepped up. He's a gangster. I like him in the broadcast booth. The guy's. I'm a big fan of Anthony Smith, and maybe a top 5 opponent, and see how good Anthony really is right now.
Wow, that'd be so awesome. So he basically, if he gets the victory, then you're saying he's one fight away, and that'd be incredible. Plus, there's a lot of beef between him and what's it called, Alex Pereira. Like they've been talking a lot of smack back and forth, just about the grappling and all that stuff. So that'd be a great fight. Let's see what happens. Obviously, we don't want to count your boy out. Roman Dolidze trains at Extreme Couture, but you make a really good point. So guys, make sure to check out this fight and let's see what happens. By the way, Western Mass Climber asked an interesting question. Can Volkov, going back to the Sergei Pavlovich fight, can Volkov win with a head kick KO? What do you think?
I mean, if his foot or leg kick him in the head, yeah, definitely. But I mean, head kicks are tough to land, dude. I mean, yeah, exactly. Head kicks are tough to land. I mean, he can. I mean, anything's possible. But I think I think these guys are going to be more boxing than throwing kicks. I'm not saying they're not going to throw kicks, but I think if there's a big knockout, I think it's going to be by some hands. I mean, you have to understand also with having Pavlovich in front of you and, you know, when you throw a kick, say he throws a head kick and Pavlovich blocks it and returns. Now Volk is on 1 foot, easier to get dropped, and you don't want that big guy on top of you. So, you know, I just think it's dangerous to throw head kicks against Pavlovich because, again, I don't know if you heard me or not. But I think if he blocks, if Volkov throws a head kick and Pavlovich blocks it and fires back, I mean, that's a good way to end the fight right there. So I think chopping away at his legs, maybe going to like the teep kick to the body, try to gas him, maybe get him in the later rounds. But yeah, I mean, yeah, technically he could, but I just don't think that's the way the fight's going to end.
Right on. Sorry about that, by the way. I don't know what happened. It kicked me off and then I jumped back on. But all right, well, that's a really good point. And I do think I agree with you. I think we're going to see a lot of boxing, and I think we're going to see a knockout come that way. I can't wait. By the way, Western Mass Climber says throwing hands is very dangerous for Volkov, in my opinion. Yeah, I think both of them are going to be dangerous in the striking department. So this is going to be one hell of a fight. 303 is still awesome. Or sorry, this is for the Saudi card when we're going back to talk about Volkov. But 303 is also awesome with this new Anthony Smith matchup. Okay, now we're moving on to sort of some of the MMA commentary journalism beef that we had talked about earlier in the week. So as we had kind of touched upon on Monday, Ariel Helwani last week kind of went off on Michael Bisping, really, really laid into him. Now, I've been checking on Michael Bisping's channel this entire week to see if he's replied to Ariel Helwani's pretty harsh words. Actually, I think he did the harsh words on Monday, if I'm not mistaken.
Bootlicker Bisping, is that what he referred to him as?
Yeah, he called him Bootlicker Bisping, and he kind of doubled down. It was pretty interesting. So just to give you guys a recap, Michael Bisping basically tried to play it off. He's like, Ariel, relax, buddy, relax. Like I was just taking a piss, like not a big deal. I don't know what you're getting so upset about, right? And Ariel Helwani basically came back later and went on this entire tirade and said, hey, listen, the last time we've texted is 2 years ago. You're acting like we're friends. We're not friends. That's not what friends do. And you continue to talk smack about me, and you're doing it so you can curry favor with Dana White. He's like, I've never done anything to you to harm you. I've only tried to help you. I tried to set you up with the title fight when I knew that Luke Rockhold was available and there was a pullout, and that eventually helped you get the title. He's like, I've always had your back, but for the last year, you've been throwing all these cheap shots at me, talking smack about me and doing all these things. And he's like, basically throwing the friendship or whatever relationship they had out the door. He's like, he doesn't want it. He doesn't even want an apology at this point. It basically says F you to Michael Bisping, which is pretty ballsy, I got to say. Michael Bisping has been radio silent this week. And I think his people are telling him not to engage, because we've seen Ariel do this to a lot of people, to Brendan Schaub, to also Patty Pimlet, people that have questioned his reputation as a journalist. By the way, props to Ariel Helwani. You know, for whatever people want to say about him, he was right this entire time about the entire Conor McGregor thing. You know, Michael Bisping was almost like attacking him. And there's reasons why that have come out since. Essentially, the UFC didn't want Ariel probably talking about what was going on. But Conor's camp probably did want people to know, because otherwise everybody's getting kept in the dark. People probably getting mad at Conor. So that was his way to trickle information out. Ariel was the only one that had the balls to do it. And Michael Bisping was coming down on Ariel probably because that was going against what the UFC wanted. They wanted to just keep it hush-hush until they had the replacement fight ready to go. I understand all the perspectives. But what do you think about this and how it's escalated in terms of Ariel's response to Bisping? I mean, one, do you think it's justified? And two, which I do think is justified. And two, do you think Bisping is ever going to reply, or is he just going to say, hey, I'm going to let whatever the expression is, let sleeping dogs lie, move on?
You know, I thought Ariel had a really appropriate response when he said, I mean, the name calling was a bit childish, but it is what it is. I don't, that stuff doesn't bother me like it does some people.
Mhm.
But yeah, maybe Michael Bisping saw that video and he's like, you know what? He's right. And I'm just going to shut up. I mean, that could be another thing. I think it's more leaning towards what you're saying. But just to give you another, an idea of what it could be is, dude, I mean, how many times have you said something in anger and then somebody corrects you and you're like, you know what? I fucked up. All right.
True.
And now maybe doesn't apologize. And it's probably unlikely, but it's possible. It's definitely possible. So, I mean, there's been a couple times I've been corrected even at my job, and I get put in my place and it's just like I suck it up and it's like, yeah, I fucked up, and whether I admit it or not, I know it myself. And maybe he feels that way. Unfortunately, probably not, but yeah, it's an interesting perspective to say the least.
And I will say this, MMA Joey, if you guys ever watch his channel, I'm becoming a bigger and bigger fan of MMA Joey. He does do a good job of really telling it like it is, in my opinion. He made an entire video basically supporting Ariel and telling people that, look, at the end of the day, Ariel is a critical piece of the MMA puzzle. He really tries to give us the truth and the honest perspective that a lot of times can get clouded because a lot of other journalists, and this is no hate towards them, but they want to stay in the good grace of the UFC. I understand that. I get that. So sometimes the information has to be filtered down and may not always be delivered in its purest form. Ariel, however, is pretty much a diehard journalist, and he's got certain morals and ethical principles that won't allow him to stray from that. So we should be thankful. And he was the only one that was kind of giving us any updates. He was actually telling us exactly what was going on in terms of the injury. If you read between the lines, he was doing as much as he could without violating the trust of the McGregor camp, in my opinion. But anyways, MMA Joey says, hey, look, we should all be appreciative and thank our lucky stars for somebody like Ariel because he's feeding us what we need to know, especially people who would purchase tickets and we're planning to go to that event. So one more thing before we move on to our final topic, we have, I think this might be a new listener, a new follower, Gooby. So I want to highlight this comment. Mark my words, Aliskerov will beat Rob with relative ease. His wrestling is far superior to DDP's, and look what he did to Rob. That's an interesting perspective too. I didn't think about that. Like that's that weird comparison of like, well, this person beat him, right? The people call it MMA math or whatever, but like, that person beat him. Well, he's better than that person who beat Rob, therefore he's going to beat Rob. I don't know if that logic really always works. Plus, you have to take into consideration, right? The inexperience, the nerves might get to him. I don't know, but it's an interesting perspective. I mean, what do you think, Justin, on this final thought real quick?
He's from Dagestan. I'm sure he has incredible wrestling. I'm sure Robert Whittaker knows that, going into this fight. I'm not saying it's impossible. I don't know enough about the guy. I'm not a fan of him. This will be actually the first time I ever tune into one of his fights to watch. So it's hard to make an opinion when, we're just shooting in the air. We're shooting blanks right
Sure.
now.
Yeah,
And
for
it
sure.
sounds like that this guy knows what he's talking about. I mean, he's saying it very confident. That tells me that he's probably watched a lot of his career, and maybe he's right. This is something that we got to watch for. We have a viewer right now saying that this guy's a killer and he's the real deal. And time will tell on Saturday. I really would hate to see Robert take this huge risk and lose. I hate when because my whole motto, risk everything, man, and that's what he's doing. He's literally risking everything right now. And when guys have the guts to do that, man, and put it all on the line, like when I bet my whole money on all my money on myself in my last fight in the UFC, like that's the biggest balls thing a man can do, and that's what Robert's doing right now. His whole career's on the line. And I just hate to see him fall.
I agree. I would too. Well, it's going to be a hell of a fight. One more comment from Pern, then we're going to go to our last topic. Relating to the Ariel thing, he said he listened to the Bisping podcast today. He said he made a little reference to the bootlicker Bisping. So I think for whatever the background reason is, I think he's just saying, hey, graciously, it's over. Ariel, you got me 10-7. Like, let's not keep it going. Yeah. So that's what it appears to be from my perspective. All right. Last but not least, the last topic, I kind of forced this upon both of us because I needed to talk about Chimaev because he's my favorite fighter, as you know. So what I've been hearing and from different media reports, although Khamzat hasn't explicitly admitted to this, but apparently what it was is he got a really, really, really bad case of food poisoning. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if food poisoning 2 weeks out or, a week and a half out has made fighters pull out of fights before. I imagine it could. I imagine it could screw up your entire weight cut, especially depending on the severity. But based on this speculation, let's call it speculation at this point, that it is food poisoning, how quickly do you see him coming back? Is this something he could even come back in July if there's an opportunity? And if he comes back soon, who do you think they should line him up with?
Honestly, man, and you're not gonna like when I say this because I know he's your favorite fighter, and I think he's a great fighter. But this is 4 main events he's been scheduled to be in, and he's pulled out of 4 main events. And food poisoning 2 weeks out, bro. Like what? Like
Oh
you're
yeah.
supposed to be the baddest man on the planet, bro. Like I've had food poisoning before, and it's not gonna affect his weight because
Mm,
if anything, he's throwing up or has bad diarrhea, and he's losing the weight anyways. It's
hmm.
I don't know, man. I don't like it. I don't know, man. I'd rather if he broke his hand or something than food poisoning. I just think food poisoning is I just think that's I don't know, man. I don't want to say I'm not going to call, this guy because he's an incredible fighter, man. I've seen him train at the gym. He trains really hard. He's awesome, but bro, 4 main events and 4 pullouts.
Well,
We're starting to get into a land where it's like at least in my opinion, it's like, can this guy handle the lights? I mean, he's an incredible
mm,
fighter, but there's a lot of great fighters out there, man. Like I tell you what, man. And again, I'm not bashing one of the best guys to ever come through the gym, man. Max Raxkoff. Fuck, dude, he fucked everybody up in the gym, man. And then he had his UFC debut, and unfortunately, and again, I'm not sitting here talking shit about him, but fuck, dude, you get put under the lights in those pressure situations, your mind will fuck with you, your body will fuck with you. And, when Chimaev has come out and he's had some incredible fights, Dustin Burns was an incredible win. But when he's the main event, when all the lights and all the attention's on him, he hasn't shown up 4 times in a row. And I'm sure there's more to those that you would know because obviously he's your favorite fighter. But man, like how many main event spots does this guy get before, he stopped being considered for a main event?
Fair point. Fair point. So I just want to clarify one thing. So you said 4 pullouts. It's 3 pullouts because one of those cancellations was actually Leon Edwards pulling out. Then the second
Ah,
2 were Khamzat pulling out. But it's hard to really distinguish those as 2 separate pullouts because I think they tried to resky. Obviously, I'm kind of, you might say whatever. I'm just kind of
sure,
making
sure. That's
excuses for
fine.
him.
No,
But
that's okay.
this is the reality of the situation is that they scheduled the fight and then they canceled it and they rescheduled it pretty soon after, and he still wasn't better from that severe COVID reaction that he had. So like I really kind of consider it 2 pullouts if just being technical. But anyways, I get your point. I really hope that's not the case because he seems like somebody to me that is not rattled whatsoever by the lights. He loves the competition. He loves the crowd. He loves the well, maybe not loves the attention, but it doesn't phase him. Let's put it like that. So that's what
Dude,
I'm hoping.
and by
Yeah.
the way, I'm just playing devil's advocate because I know that you're going to be
Right.
super favored towards him. I like the guy. I
Yeah.
think he's an awesome fighter. I love watching him fight. I think he has everything to be a champion. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate because I know that you're going to
Sure.
stroke him a little bit.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I just want to pray that he does come back. I know we got some kind of slightly mean comments from Western Mass Climber. I'll put it up here. He says, "I'm going to say it for you, Justin. If it was food poisoning, he's a bitch." And then he said, "I'm coping," which maybe I am a little bit, but like I just can't let it go.
He says you're coping.
I probably am, but like I can't let it go. I just still believe that he could be the greatest fighter of all time. I just cannot let that go. Like I don't know if I'm delusional or what, but I just still think he's just been so underestimated despite how much fanfare he's gotten, and I want to see him. And he's so exciting. There's nobody more exciting. Nobody. Actually, I don't even think Connor's more exciting. I think Chimaev is the most exciting fighter because he's so unpredictable. But anyways, let's pray that he comes back soon. Do you think, like, I know he's your boy, is Sean Strickland a viable matchup at this point, or would Sean turn his nose up to that since he feels like he deserves a title shot? Or I mean, I don't even know who could they put him up against? They could put him against what's his name, Paulo Costa. That's a possibility. Maybe.
I don't like the matchup because Paulo's lost 2 in a row now, and it feel like if they did put him up, they'd be feeding him. They'd feeding Costa to him because Chimaev's on such a little streak right now, but. I don't really care for that matchup. I don't think Sean will take the matchup. I know Sean's in the gym training as he always is every
Yeah.
day. You never have to wonder. That's his spot. So he would be ready for that matchup. I just don't think it's good right in his position. I mean, he already went off. He already beat Acosta, and he did enough to get his title shot back. So I don't know, man. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens tomorrow night with some of the fights that's going on tomorrow night, and then we can talk, top 5, top 10 guy, and yeah, let's make sure this guy's healthy first, man. I mean, it sounds like he ate
Yes.
some bad beans or something, and maybe he's a little gassy or something. I'm not sure,
Oh
but
man.
we'll see what happens.
All right, let's wish Chimaev a speedy recovery. We got this huge fight card tomorrow. And if you go want to check out Future Fight League, I'm going to put that in the link below. You can subscribe and listen to me commentate for my first time ever. I'm really, really, really excited. I'm also kind of nervous, but hey, that means I care. That's what I'll chalk that up to. Thank you, guys. It looks like we have some new viewers today. So if you haven't had a chance to like the stream and like the video yet, make sure to click that like button. And if you did enjoy the show and it is your first time or second time and you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love you to subscribe because we're making more and more and more content on the regular. We got videos coming out in between our shows, but our shows are every Monday and Friday. So make sure to check those at 1:30 p.m. PST, 4:30 p.m. EST. All right, guys. Thank you.
One more thing. PFL tonight. Mads Burnell versus Clay Collard. The fight that you guys have never heard about, guys. I'm telling you, I think it's on NBC. The PFL main event tonight. Clay Collard versus Mads Burnell. Mads Burnell is, to me, and a lot of guys at the gym would agree this. I've trained with him Extreme Couture. He might be the best striker in the gym right now. He's a UFC vet. He's a Bellator vet. He just got into the tournament. You know, he lost his last fight, unfortunately. He's going from featherweight up to lightweight. Clay Collard, straight boxer. This guy has a head that is like a granite stone. But with that being said, so people are like, oh, well, Mads isn't going to be able to knock him out. Mads doesn't knock a lot of guys out. He works the body, and Clay's been known to be a little weak to the body, guys. Shout out to Mads Burnell. Shout out to the PFL. This main event is going to be bonkers, guys. Tune in tonight.
Amazing. All right, check that out. Celine says, good night and going to watch PFL now. Wow, look at that. Amazing. And Western Mass Climber says, thanks for the show. And thank you guys for sticking with us and joining along consistently. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it because we're just having so much fun, and it makes it more fun when you guys are, especially our regulars, are with us. So thank you again. Have an amazing weekend, everybody, and we will see you in the next episode. Take it easy.